Welcome to the My Child is Good framework. I've put this together, and the reason for this is I would say roughly 70, 80, 90% of grassroots players just are lacking the core skills. So I would call these elements here core skill to be able to play competitive. And I think this is an issue between recreation and fun and competitive. So I want to quickly go over this, and essentially what it does is, or what the question that we need to ask, can your child pass the following to be considered a skillfully okay player? So they have a base level of physical and technical skill to be able to execute some specific components in the game. And if children don't have this level of skill, so they don't know how to dribble, they don't know how to control, they don't know how to pass, they don't know how to use skill, then they can't achieve a lot of things in the game. And all they're going to be doing is kicking the ball versus playing the game of football. And there is a difference between kicking into a soccer ball and playing the game of football. And that's what this framework, My Child is Good framework, is about. And this is just like, in my opinion, the entry level, right? Entry level, basic. These are the very basics that the player should be able to do before they participate in a competitive match. And it's just, again, about having core skill. So without further ado, let's look at this. First one is juggling. Right, left, and both. They should be able to complete 20 juggles, right foot, left foot, and both feet. And a lot of people will say, well, I don't think juggling's important. Like, I get that reflex from people or conversation from people all the time. And if you don't believe that's important, it's no problem. It's okay. What I can tell you is from my experience and working with top-level professionals, for example, I've worked with Luis Nani, who has won the Champions League, won the Premier League, and has won the European Championships with Portugal. His touch from juggling, or just his touch in general, but his ability to juggle the ball as well, is ridiculous. And he's a guy that plays at the highest level. And most players aren't born with touch. They have to develop touch, and I was one of them. I didn't have touch, and I had to develop it through juggling. And I have not found a better tool to develop touch and control of the ball outside of juggling at this moment as of October 2023. So just a quick side note with that as well. When I'm talking about juggling, I'm not talking about the freestyle technique, which means you use your toes. I'm talking about the technique that requires contact with the shoelaces. And this is a very important distinction because there is something called freestyle and freestyle juggling where you see players do a lot of tricks and flicks with the ball. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to this, different contact that's more aligned with what you're actually going to use in the game. So the shoelaces, the inside of the foot, and the outside of the foot. And that's, building into juggling to a higher level. And touch, that's what's going to come from that. But with this scenario, I'm just talking about using the shoelaces, popping the ball with good contact with the right, 20, with the left, 20, and with both feet, so alternating, 20. Now moving forward, the next one is what we call outside-inside. This is where a player shifts the ball. We're now in a dribbling component or footwork component where they dribble the ball, they push it inside with the inside of their foot, they push it outside. So they would isolate this with the right foot, they would isolate this with the left foot, and they would do it with both feet. And this is a skill that a lot of players around the world have used at a high level, one of them being Lionel Messi. You can watch clips of him doing this where he'll push out, cut in, and then push out with the other foot. So we want to isolate this with the right foot, we want to isolate it with the left foot, and do both feet. And there's two ways you can do it, and I recommend both. The first one would be, for example, if you're traveling one way, let's say 10 yards, you focus on foot speed, which means shifting the ball quickly, but not game-like. And then repeat it on the way back, for example, or do another 10 yards past that and focus on game orientation, game component. So that means like you're going to be pushing bigger. You want to imagine that there's a player, a defender in front of you in opposition, and you're going to push, cut, much bigger, much faster in terms of length. And that way you're trying to showcase what you would do in a game. Next one is the competent passing form, and this is very important don't get me wrong, all of them are important, but passing, parents expect kids to make passes. If they don't have competent passing form, So that means they're proficient or at least competent to make a pass correctly with the right and the left foot. How can we expect players to make passes correctly in the game outside of just kicking a ball and trying to smash it as far forward? And that's what I call kickball. Okay, so they need to practice passing form. Now, I will say, this is my personal opinion, I believe that passing comes after dribbling, because you need to have core skill first, and then you can build from core skill into footwork and into dribbling. So the next one is the competent ability to run and dribble with the ball. So that means obviously right and left foot, but you should be able to dribble the ball, which means you can keep it closer. And then run with the ball is when you have space and you can run with the ball at your feet. So think of like, you got 20, 30 yards in front of you and you see players taking off. That's running with the ball. Dribbling is when, you're actively going to be in tighter scenarios against opponents and you're going to have to keep the ball closer. Next one is skill use, and I put these down. I mean, it doesn't have to be these exact ones, but having the repertoire of skill in your toolkit is obviously very important. So these are the ones that I recommend. We have 2 attacking 1v1 skills. We have 2 change of direction skills, and we have 3 escape or evade skills. And the 2 attacking 1v1 skills are scissor and body fakes. So again, left foot, right foot, maybe doubles. Pull back and step over are the change of direction skills. So you're like doing a 180. So you're going one way, you're changing direction to go the opposite way. And then the escape moves are great if you're, for example, defenders coming from your right and you want to go to your left. You do a V1, a V2, or a maestro. And these will get you out of tough situations. Or maybe you're on a sideline or something and you need to quickly escape from that line. Those are little skills that you can do. The next one is obviously very important. This kind of goes along with passing. It's receiving the ball with the correct foot. And I see this all the time. Kids receiving the ball with the wrong foot. So, for example, to make it as simple as possible, if a player wants to go to the left, they need to be receiving the ball with the left foot. If they want to go to the right, so it's a pass coming to them. If they want to go to the right, they receive the ball with the right foot so they can turn right. It's the most simple and basic form of turning and receiving. So receive left, go left. Receive right, go right. Now, when they build on that, then you can, for example, you'll watch Paul Pogba or Messi. They can receive with the left foot and go right, but their level is so high that there's almost no room for error. Like, they just won't make that mistake. And I see it happen all the time. Kids will make that mistake, and we're trying to avoid that situation. Next one, really next 2, is the proper physical condition for competitive sport. And this is huge for me, because how can we expect players to play competitive? Like, competitive means you're in competition if they're not in proper physical condition. So they're fit. They don't have to necessarily be lean, but they have to be in competitive shape. You can't be, as an example, if I was 300 pounds, which I'm not, but if I was, there's no way that I can compete competitively in football. There might be other sports that you can do that. When I say football, I mean, for people here, American soccer. But you can't play this game and be out of shape. You need to be fit to be able to do this, okay? And the final piece would be the proper running mechanics. This is important because I see kids, for example, running and their hands are all over the place, or they're running and their hands are not active. They should be moving their hands forward and back. From the way that I was taught was basically taking one hand face and then bringing it back towards your backside, right? So towards your butt. It's hand to butt. That's what we called it, hand to butt. And it's just running that over and over again and having the proper running mechanics. Now, I don't think I'm asking for a lot here with this. Like, I'm asking for your player to have a basic level of skill. And in my opinion, these are necessities. You have to have touch. You have to have the ability to dribble. You have to have the ability to run with the ball. You have to have the ability to use skill, because you're going to play people 1v1 and you can't always pass. And then you have to be able to pass the ball. You have to be able to receive the ball. And then you have to be able to be in good physical condition to play competitive. There's just no other way about it. And then obviously it helps having good or proper running form. So I'll say it again. I don't think I'm asking a lot with this. I'm asking to have touch, ability to dribble, ability to run with the ball, ability to pass, ability to receive, ability to use a skill, ability to be in good physical condition to play competitive sport, and proper running mechanics. I don't think I'm asking for a lot here. So without further ado, guys, I'll see you in a future video. But before I let you go, I do want to ask, if you find value from this type of content, please share this with somebody. I spend a lot of time putting this together completely for free for you guys, and it would mean the absolute world to me if you could share this with a friend and just let them know that I'm giving away all this stuff completely free to help you guys understand the context of the sport and make better decisions.